picked this portion out of Colossians to read together tonight. Not that I'm going to expound too much on it, because I've got a few slides here that I want to be able to go through and share with you. But let me read these few verses tonight from verse 2 of chapter 4 of Colossians. And it's entitled Final Instructions. Devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful, and pray for us too, that God may open a door for our message, so that we may proclaim the mystery of Christ, for which I am in chains. Pray that I may proclaim it clearly as I should. Be wise in the way you act towards outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. Tychicus will tell you all the news about me. He's a dear brother, a faithful minister and fellow servant in the Lord. I'm sending him to you for the express purpose that you may know about our circumstances and that he may encourage your hearts. He's coming with Onesimus, our faithful and dear brother, who is one of you. They will tell you everything that is happening here. My fellow prisoner, Aristarchus, sends you his greetings, as does Mark, the cousin of Barnabas. You have received instruction about him. If he comes to you, welcome him. Jesus, who is called Justus, also sends greetings. These are the only Jews among my fellow workers for the kingdom of God, and they have proved a comfort to me. Epaphras, who is one of you and a servant of Christ Jesus, sends greetings. He is always wrestling in prayer for you, that you may stand firm in all the will of God, mature and fully assured. I vouch for him that he is working hard for you and for those at Laodicea and Hierapolis. Our dear friend Luke, the doctor, and Demas send greetings. Give my greetings to the brothers at Laodicea and to Nympha and the church in her house. After this letter has been read to you, see that it is also read in the church of the Laodiceans, and that you in turn read the letter from Laodicea. Tell Archippus, see to it that you complete the work you have received in the Lord. I, Paul, write this greeting in my own hand. Remember my chains. Grace be with you. Amen. God will read it. I don't know if you picked up in that reading there, the list as Paul was commending fellow workers to them, just their identity, because he was listing their characteristics, he was listing what they were good at, he was listing all the things that they were working together with. And for me, that was them outworking their identity because of what they'd been called to do. And that was a challenge for me as I read through that, and as I was thinking about this time together and what we do out in Laos. It's really all about being able to work out our identity for what we've been called and what we've been based to do. I'm fortunate that I'm able to go out there. I believe God has given me some skills in the construction industry. I've been working in it for a good number of years now, and some of those skills I've been able to take out there and use out there in Laos. But I'm sure let me just see if I got this. If I can just share this. Can you all see this okay, yeah? You okay? Yeah, you can hear me and can you see this okay, yeah?
Yes.
Good, okay, thank you. So I went out to Laos on the 22nd of January to the 3rd of February, and there was 4 of us went out from the UK together. Laos, as you know, I've shared this before. There might be some of these slides here that you think, oh no, Peter shared that one before, but I put them in here because some people keep asking me where actually is Laos. And just as a reminder, it's between Thailand and Vietnam. It's bound, it's landlocked between the Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and China in the north. You'll see Myanmar there, or the old Burma, what was Burma, and China in the north, up on this border up there. And we go out to Vientiane is the capital of Laos here, and we go up to this area up here, Luang Prabang, just where my cursor is at the moment. Base. It's about a 2-hour flight from Bangkok, which is where we fly into. We fly in from London, we fly to Bangkok. We change airports in Bangkok, and then we fly up to Luang Prabang. Bangkok's a big city. It's a massive city, in fact, because it took us 3/4 of an hour on a bus, which was on motorway all the way between the two airports. And they're both fairly major airports in Bangkok. Before we got out there in September last year, we got this message. This is David that's on this little video clip here I'm just going to play. And this is him telling us that he would like us to go out and do some work out there. He mentions a guy, Spencer. Spencer's from the America, from a church out in America. And he comes out, he's an ex-pig farmer. He comes out and attends to Andrew's pigs for him, gives some advice on how to manage the pigs.
Hi, sir. Peter Stephen. Did you come? We got a shop for you. So we need to do the video for regarding this belt here. This one, and then over here too. Maybe good is down here too to protect this belt here. And then this one. Yeah, this one here.
So this is a rice milling machine that Andrew bought from China. He had one last year, which was a much smaller version that we went out and did some work on. But this is a bigger one. It's higher capacity, and they're milling every week. They're milling rice because rice is really the mainstay of the food chain out there, and some of them are just too poor to be able to even go and buy rice. So after David sent that, we video over to us. Andrew very cleverly says, "Oh, no pressure, no pressure." But and he sent us 1 or 2 texts here. We need you to 2 most important projects: sorting out the new rice mill, which is located in the big building where the silos are, and then the motorbike shed. Because they were increasing the training for doing motorbike checking to be able to train people how to service their motorbikes and keep that work going. However, before that was in sort of September, October time, but the time it came at the beginning of December, he then sent an email, and he had recruited not only Stephen and I to go out, a young guy from Aberdeen called Darren Shinney, who runs a small electrical company up there. Darren was going out to do electrical work because he was desperate. If you saw the condition of the electrics out there, you wouldn't switch anything on. It was the electrics were so poor, and so when Darren says, "Yeah, I can go out," so Darren was going out, and a young guy from Andrew's church, Barnabas, he was coming out with us as well. And so he had a whole list, as this email tells us here, he had a whole list of things that had grown from just being 2 projects to about 4 or 5 different things with electrical. And they also wanted to be able to do some electrical training to teach people how to do electrical work out there. So that's where we were. And at the beginning of December, we started to make these arrangements to go out there. We soon realized once we got out there, out to Laos, there was really 4 main projects that he wanted us to do. The rice milling machine, it needed safety guards put on it, and because it was run off 3-phase, he needed Darren to check out the electrics and the switching gear on that, because it wasn't very clever, to be honest. All the cables were just lying on the ground, and three-phase is if you don't get it right, it can give you quite a kick. Then there was a hair and beauty room, because Andrew does, he takes the girls and teaches them, gives them a skill in hair and beauty. That's becoming quite a big thing for them out there in Laos. But the facility that he had was really just a tin shed. There had a couple of strip lights in it, and they also had about 2 sockets for them using, and everything was connected into these 2 sockets in the building. So he asked if it could be rewired and also relocate the hair washing facility. They do hair washing and head massages, head and shoulder, that there. Then he was developing the fish farm side of things. So he needed a new fish hatchery built, because they were increasing the number of fish that they were producing, and so he needed an installation of what was called slow sand filters. These are just big tanks that are built into the ground. You fill one of the tanks up with sands and gravels, and you then fill it up with water, and the water drains through it very slowly, and then you collect that water off and into another tank to hold it, which is then clean water. Because the fish hatchery, they take the fish eggs, they need to have clean, pretty sterile water for the fish eggs to grow and develop. And then the motorbike training centre, because that had developed from just being for motorbikes, developed into, he wanted to be able to teach people how to do welding work. He wanted to teach them how to do the motorbike training, to do some building work, and also to teach them how to do some electrics. And we'll see a little bit of that as I go through the. So it was just a straightforward shed. The sides were just mesh sides and had a roof on it. So he was looking for us to build workbenches and also to wire it, because there was no power or anything into the building. I maybe shared this one with you last year, but I think it's really relevant to what we're looking at for the work in Laos.
This morning we're here at the Chinese warehouse. We've come to get some nuts and bolts for work we're doing up at the farm. This would be where we would come to get tools, materials for all the work we've been doing. It's a really great place because we can get everything we need here.
We're basically back to first principles, prefabricating everything. So we've got to find the correct materials for making up these guards at the farm. So we'll show you some pictures of that a wee bit later on.
The machine that we've been working on at the farm is a rice mill, and it really is quite a dangerous machine. Before we place some guards on it with belts and trolleys that were really exposed, and an accident waiting to happen. So it was really important that we could make up guards and protect the workers from injury.
Okay, so the rice mill that's up at the farm has been bought so that we can provide rice for some of the poor people out in the villages, people who are maybe widows and don't have any income. And the rice, we've got 250 tons of rice to mill to be able to take out to poor people. So this rice milling project is a new project to be able to do that. It just needs these guards fitted so that it can be a bit safer for the guys to use. Yeah, it's been a privilege to be out here. Why are we here? We're out here because Andrew has asked for some help. I believe that we've been given some skills in our normal workplace that we've been able to bring out here and to help Andrew with this outreach to be able to help poor people out here. And it's been a privilege to have had your support as a church to be able to send us out here to do that.
Yes, we've been out here a few times now, both Peter and I, and we see the work that Andrew does, and it is really a privilege just to be a small part of everything that he does out here. So again, you know, we just give our thanks for the support and help that the church provides.
We'd like to be able to take the love of God in a practical way out here.
Yeah.
So that was a little clip that we made up last year when we were out there. The principle of the rice milling machine is exactly the same this year. Only Andrew's been able to buy one from China that's doubled the capacity of what they're able to do there. Such is the need out there to be able to feed people. They have developed a feeding program since last year in Thailand on the Myanmar border, because they're finding there's a lot of refugees coming over from Myanmar that have nothing. They come just with what they're standing in, and that's not very much at times. So that they're supported well by the Barnabas Fund as well to be able to provide rice up there. This was a hair and beauty salon before we got there, and you see, it's got partly tiled floor, but it's also got the guys there are busy fitting windows because there was no windows in it, so they're busy fitting windows. When I say there's windows, it's a wooden frame with some timber shutters on it and mosquito nets, as opposed to a glass there. But you see the basins. This was after Darren had started for a couple of days doing some work, typical electrician's work with cables everywhere and scraps of cables. So it was looking a bit like a builder site, to be honest. But Darren did an absolutely fantastic job out there. You can see the sockets that he started to put in on the walls here. He did them all the way around. He wired it for putting in spotlights all the way around for them to be able to have the best that we were able to afford to be able to give them at the time. This is Darren, the electrician.
Out my first day out in Laos with the boys. You know, up in the shed where they do all the mushroom farming, some of the beauty stuff. So me and the locals in Barnabas are having our first week getting the wiring in, getting some of the piping in. Okay.
Darren was a great guy. He was, as was Barnabas out there, Barney. The wee, I don't know if you noticed the wee guy at the back there. He was standing on a chair on top of the table. So some of the health and safety out there maybe it wasn't quite up to the standards that we expect in the UK, as is this guy standing up here. So this is one of the locals, and he took to it really, really quickly. Fine. He kind of during the normal times he's looking after the piggery, but he took on to working with Darren and helping Darren doing electrics and running cables. And you can see on the faraway wall there where he started to put in all the sockets, so that the girls have plenty of sockets and lighting up there. And this is what it was like when it was finished. They all had double sockets at each of their workstations. They had mirrors on the walls. They had spotlights up. They had the good lighting, strip lighting put in. And Darren did all this in a sort of couple of days for them up there. They bought them some new tables and some chairs for being able to sit at to make it in. And this gives them a real sense of purpose and a real sense that they can take something back to their villages with them back to their home villages, and it gives them a wee source of income for themselves to be able to offer that facility back there. So this was it after the workbenches. Barney, who's here, kidding on that he's given the Darren a wee head massage with the water and that there. I'm not sure how effective he was, but it proved that it was all working anyway, which was good. This was Stephen and Andrew. This was the work shed that I was talking about, where he had just had this built, but it needed the workbenches put into it, and it also needed, there was no lighting or no sockets or anything in it. So Dan had to come and start wiring this building out and putting sockets into it. And we had to build workbenches to enable them to give them a workstation to be able to work on. This was Stephen, and him and I did most of the workbench fabrication, building it up to get it to a state that it could be usable as proper workbenches. Everything is just done by hand, apart from some power tools for the screwing stuff together. This is Andrew and Stephen. And then as part of that, when Andrew saw how well they were getting on, and with it, because by this time Darren had put in these sockets here, run them down, put sockets in and switch them. He set up some training for doing electrical work, and this was some plywood boards that were put up. And these guys here, these are the two local guys that were working up in the hair and beauty room. This is the one that I told you about this morning. He calls me father when I'm out there. And this is Feng, and the two of them have grown up together, so they know each other really well. But they're putting together. Darren told them what he wanted and marked out where things were to be going for the switching. And it was just a simple light switch and lighting and some sockets. But that in itself can improve someone's house so much that things that we kind of take for granted sometimes over here. And then once they started getting them all together, these are three of the girls from the sewing room that were down to learn to be taught the sewing skills, but they came down and they wanted to be taught how to do electrics. So when they go back to their villages, they'll be able to do. So Darren had a lot of, he made it fun for them, to be honest, as they were training, trying to train them up together. This was them, him teaching them what they had to and needed to do. And these three girls got their switching in and got their lights to work and got them to work switching them on and off. So they were real pleased with that, with the work that they were able to do. And so it's a good sort of training facility just to be able to leave there for them, and they can use that as an ongoing training for the rest of the year. These are the girls from the sewing room that came down, but this girl here is actually the ambassador, the UK ambassador to Laos, and she came up to the centre to find out exactly what Andrew was doing. She'd heard Andrew had met with ambassadors previously, the previous ambassador. He had told her what a good job they were doing, and so she came up and spent about good 2, maybe even 3 hours up at the centre to try and find out exactly everything that was going on. And so I was so impressed that there were people from the UK going out there, giving up of their time to go out there and help these people. And these are some of the girls from the sewing room. Their ages from early teens up to mid-20s, some of them. And this was Darren. He managed to get in the photo with the ambassador when he was there. So these girls were really appreciative of that. So moving on to the fish hatchery area, this is where we were building the slow sand filters as well. So it's all within a small radius of on the farm that the land that Andrew has out there for developing all this. And the day we arrived, he'd had a machine come in, an excavator come in and just dig this hole. He wasn't quite sure how we were going to build the sand filter, but after we'd been at the Chinese shop, we discovered that we thought we could use a couple of tanks, and these were the two tanks, because originally Andrew was going to build it in block work, but that would have taken a lot of time and to allow to cure properly, the cements to cure properly. And so we got these two tanks and thought, well, we'll put them in and be able to use them for that. So that's what we did. We got the two tanks, and the one with the green pipe going into it at the moment is the one that's filled with the gravels and sands. And then this pipe coming out from the bottom of it comes up and comes into this tank at a high level. So it's clean water that's going in, and this will be the storage tank for it. We had one fairly major setback with this right at the start, because there was a lot of water coming in because it's close to the fish pond. There was a lot of water coming into the excavation works. And whilst the tanks were filled with sand and gravels and this other one had been filled with water, it was fine. But we decided that we needed to empty the one tank. We needed to empty this tank of water to allow us to connect some pipe work into it. And we'd emptied it too much, and some of the water came into the excavation, and it caused this, because the tank was made of plastic, it just floated like a cork in the ocean. And so they had to dig it out and they replace it again. So this was the guys digging it out, getting us ready to put it back. But a couple of hours we were able to get that sorted and go out. You'll notice how they've all got safety footwear on when they were in there digging the holes there. That was normal for them. In fact, we did a wee bit of concrete work when we were there, and this guy was just paddling about in the concrete work. And I was saying to him, look, Lee, you'll get badly burnt if you don't give. No, I'll be all right. And he just washed it off. But you can get some fairly severe chemical burns off concrete, and they were just paddling about in it with their bare feet. Once we got them in and connected up, the girls from the sewing room did all the backfilling. This is them, the girls from the sewing room. Andrew had to do a little bit of negotiation with them to agree a price for them to go and I don't think I would get teenagers in this country to be able to go and dig soils and work wheelbarrows to be able to do this. So I was quite impressed with that. They did a good job. And this was us just having it connected up. This is the fish hatchery just next to the two tanks that we've just seen there. We had to build it up, and this is just a small, like a channel where they put the crates for the fish eggs. And so it all had to be tiled to keep it clean and from hygiene. And these are the water pipes. All these blue water pipes you can see here feed water into it. And this was us just getting this prepared. Ready for that. These are the two local guys that are here, Feng and Lee. Darren standing at the back there, and this is Barnabas, and Stephen and I were busy doing this. There was a team from America came over when we were there. They were only there 2 days, but they wanted to get involved, so we managed to get them to do the tiling of this fish hatchery area. So they were tiling it in the day that they were there and available from there. They were from the First Endeavour, I think they were called, First Endeavour Church out in the Mississippi, which is where they came from. This is the rice milling machine that Andrew had bought, and these are the areas that needed guarding that we saw earlier. And so Stephen spent quite a bit of time just welding up. Stephen comes from Larpert. He stays here. He stays just in behind the Torwood Garden Centre. He runs a nursery with his two boys, doing a plant nursery. And so they're extremely busy. But Stephen's been out 7 times out to Laos with Andrew to go out and help on various different projects. And I've had the privilege of being with him on 4 of those occasions, working with them. This just shows you, just when the guys are working close to this type of machinery, it can be quite dangerous for them when there's no guards on it. So this was Stephen just fabricating the guards up, and then he's able to step back and just admire the good work that he's done when he's there. Some of the guards fitted to make it safe for them, safe environment for them working in. This was him paint spraying the wood. So the you get a wee view there, just a wee impression that clear skies, blue skies. I think this was towards the end of our time out there, and it was about mid-30s, I would say, the temperature out there at that time. It's not just all about work though, because every morning they have the devotions, and this is in the sewing room with the girls in the sewing room, and someone leads. One of the girls usually lead, and they have a time of worship, and then someone will bring a devotion. And so Andrew asked some of us just to be able to share for the times of devotion at various different times. But normally one of the girls from the sewing class, they would lead off together. And this is Andrew just explaining a little bit about it.
Some of them are last year we were not playing girls, the boys girls this year, and this but it is not 6 girls. It looks like the women was 150. It was even 200. Like 20,000 for everything.
So I don't know if you picked up there whether the sound was good enough, but Andrew said last year they had 99 girls had come through. This year they're hoping they're on target for 150 girls that they're going to be able to give that skill to, possibly even up to 200. We visited 3 centres like this one. This was the main one that we were based at, but there was another 2 that we visited as well. For that, but as I say, we do devotions out there, and this is just a wee snippet of one of their worship signs where they were worshiping, giving thanks to God for all that He had done for them and how blessed they felt. So that's that's just part of the worship time that we would have together. We really enjoyed that one, that particular worship song. We really enjoyed it. You just had a sense that how thankful they were for what God has done for them and for the way in which God has blessed them. One of the things that's very big and very important for the Lao people is family time. And this is one family, and they asked us to go and they're on one at Andrew's farm, and one of their, 2 of their family were over from the States. 2 of them now stay in the States, and they were over, and before the girls were going back to the States, they wanted a family meal. And so they asked Andrew if we would go and join with them to have this family meal. This is a typical, people often ask, what was the food like when you're out there? It's very different to here. And it's obviously rice is the basis of everything. And there are a lot of but there's a lot of meat dishes and a lot of vegetable dishes and soup dishes, but you have to be able to share. You don't really have knives and forks. You'll see there's maybe 1 or 2 spoons there. That's really for the soup. But you just take your rice and you just you'll struggle if you don't like double dipping. There's a lot of double dipping goes on, sharing the food, but it's the food is we all thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was just a joy to be able to share with these people in their celebration together. This was then prepared and ready for us. This was another sewing centre, one of the other centres over, and this is a really poor area. It's called Chompet. It's about 3/4 of an hour drive from where we were staying in Luang Prabang, and the roads aren't that great, to be honest. We took a small ferry across the Mekong River, and then there's maybe about half a mile of tarred road, and then it's just a sand road to get up to this village. But again, they're so delighted with the work that Andrew's doing with them and helping them, and the way in which they're able to receive the gifts. So that's just a wee selection of the food that we had that day. They prepared lunch for us. You'll see the bowls with the soups, usually with a beef stock. This bowl here will have the spices. There's a lot of spices out there. Chilies, lots of chilies, spices. And then that day we had fish. These are just so some of the tilapia fish. Good, and you could break off a bit of fish, dip it in some spices if you like, and then have it with your rice. This was a similar occasion at the farm that we were at most of the time. This girl here in the centre is Bao. She's been with Andrew just about the whole time that he's been out there. He's been out there 15 years, and she runs a mushroom farm, and her husband here runs the fish farm out there, and this is their wee boy. But this was an opportunity to share. And this is some of the American team that were out at the same time. So there was about 50 of us there that day for lunch, and they prepared lunch. They didn't have microwaves. They didn't have the double burner ovens or an agate or anything like that. They have one stove. They have one fire that they cook everything over on this one fire. So, but they really did well for us, looking after us. That was us just sharing together. This guy was an American. He works with sort of Youth for Christ out in America. This is the guy that calls me Father Lay. This is his wife out there. Breakfast time for us was always spent. There was a wee coffee shop in Jomas. Everybody asked, was it like that all the time? We did have some what was classed as a bit of westernized food. It's a Jomas coffee shop where we were able to get teas and coffees and some bacon rolls and bacon and eggs and things that we would have first thing before we went out to the farm. We would always have that. This is a girl out of that poorer area. Her name is Dao. Dao is her name, and this is her little girl. Dao is in her early 20s. Her husband's gone away and left her, and she had nothing, absolutely nothing. And her testimony, she gave her testimony one day when we were there. Someone interpreted for us, and it was really, really moving testimony. And she came to do some sewing, to learn a sewing sewing skill. And Andrew was so encouraged by her and her passion and her desire to help others as well. Just about all the girls that come and the people that come for training all come from a sort of are nominated by their Christian pastors. So they've all had an input of Christian life into them already, but we just feel that we're able to share with them further. Dao has taken on to make, she makes sanitary towels for girls out there because they can't go and buy them. So she's actually making reusable sanitary towels for girls, because when they don't have them, they can't go to school, they can't do anything, they can't go out. And so this is Dao doing, and Andrew has given her a job to make these. And I think she makes something like 100 a week to be able to sell and provide elsewhere. But she was a lovely girl and a real heart to serve, and a real heart to be able to help others. Also at this particular site, Andrew has developed some work to help widows whose houses, because whilst it was nice weather when we were there, it can be heavy rain at times, and it can be quite windy, stormy and windy. And so there's a small joiner's workshop on this site where Dow was working, and this is the guys preparing the timbers for making up the window frames and door frames for the houses. And it's quite very, very basic. And so I think this will maybe be one of the next projects that we're going to have to look at, is to provide a proper workshop for these guys to be able to go out and help repair widows' homes in some of the villages. Since the last time we were there was one village we went to, the lady had no toilet, and she just had to go out and just use the jungle. So Andrew had put a toilet into her house for her since the last time we were there. This is a girl I'd really like you to pray for. Her name is Key. She's one of the leaders out there with her husband David. David and Key are Andrew's really right-hand people out there in Laos. As I said earlier, families are big part of life out there. Your family needs to be is the mainstay of everything that they do. I remember speaking to the guy that calls me Father Lee. He's got 2 of a family, and he says, maybe next time you come back, Father, I'll have 4. And I said, but why do you need so many, Lee? No, he says, I need to have people who can look after me, because say I have only one boy and he doesn't turn out to be so good in terms of provision, I need to have other boys, so that, because they need to look after me when I'm old, and when I'm old. So they have no social services provisions like we have in this country, and they depend on their families. Unfortunately, Key here has not. David and Key have no family. They've not been able to. And Key was down in Bangkok to go through IVF treatment. And so we were praying for Key that she'll be able to have David and Key, that they'll be able to have a family. And if you were able to support us in that and pray for Key at this time, because it's a big thing for them out there to be able to have a family. And so Key. But as we were going to, when we arrived, she's got a wee glint in her eye there, actually, because when we arrived, unknown to us, we were about 3 hours. This was when we transferred from one airport to the other. And we were having a little bit of a rest, Stephen and I, because we'd just come off a 12-hour flight. And we're 3 hours to wait, so we laid down. But unbeknown to us, Key was on the same flight because she was coming up from Bangkok. So she came across and caught us having a wee sleep on the as we were waiting for our plane up to go from Bangkok up to Luang Prabang. But it was really good to meet her. It was so encouraging to see her there. This is the team from the zone place where we were based. This is in the workshop shed. We've got all the benches complete, and Darren's been able to complete some of the electrical work there as well. And so this was us getting towards the end.
What's the one here? The demonstration electrical boards over here. The workbenches here. So guys, training here on an ongoing basis. I really appreciate your support. That's been great. Thanks.
These were the guys that we all worked together with out there and being together, and it was just a joy just to be able to. It was the first time I'd met Darren, this guy in the black from Aberdeen. He's got a young family of 3 up there in Aberdeen. He's working in a church plant from King's Church in Aberdeen. King's is a big AOG church up in Aberdeen, and they're doing a church plant out into Torry, a suburb of in Aberdeen, and Darren's heading that up as well out there. So it was great to be able to meet up with him. And Barney's there just on the at the side of the photograph there. He's from Redruth down in Cornwall, the church that Andrew goes to down there in Cornwall. So he's great. He's actually going back out in March time, because he sees an opportunity to be able to get coffee from Laos and bring it back to the UK and maybe market it in the UK. So he's going back out there to see that. That may be a way in which they can improve the skills of some of them people by being able to grow coffee, which Barney's hoping to be able to import back into the UK again. One day we went trekking in between the middle weekend that we were there. We went trekking, and we were walking from one of the villages down. We met two young guys on the road, and they had a catapult. And Darren says, "I need to have a shot of the catapult." They were there. And so Andrew took this photograph of him. And you know, the reason I put this in here is because I like the photograph. I think it's a great photograph of Darren. Just shows him stretched out, pulling the catapult, ready to fire it. I don't think he hit anything, but it reminded me of the story of David and Goliath, and David taking his sling and overcoming Goliath. And you know, we all face Goliaths in our life. We all face challenges, no matter what stage we're at in life. We've all got our own Goliaths that we come up against time and time again. And I just felt God said to me when I saw this, you know, I can give you more than you need to face your Goliath. When David went to Saul and says, "I'll go and fight him," he was able to say, "Look," Saul says, "You're just a young man, you can't go." And he tried to dress him up in his armor, and David says, "No, I'm not having any of it." And he just went with what he's had. But he said to Saul, he says, "Look, the God that helped me fight off the bear and fight off the lion when I was tending my father's sheep, that same God will provide for me against this Goliath." Who is he against the God that we have? Who is the God like our God? And I just felt that photograph I felt that time when we were out there that God just spoke to me and says, "Look, I can give you more than enough." Because David took 5 stones out of the brook before he went to face his Goliath. He only needed 1. And I just felt God speak to me and say, "I can give you more than enough for you facing." When you're facing a giant on my behalf, when you're serving me, I can give you more than enough for what you need for your particular situation. And so we read this psalm this morning, and I thought this verse, "Who is a God? Who is like you, God? Who is like you?" And there really is no one like our God. And so I've just been challenged once again as being out there. It was an honor to be able to go out. You guys have supported us in prayer in the past, and you've been able to, the donations that you've given me, I've given to go out there. And it's been an honor just to be able to go and to serve these people. We get blessed as much as being able to bless the people out there. So I just want to thank you for that, and thank you for this opportunity. I've been able to just share with you at this time some of these things. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and perhaps we'll be able to sing together, "I serve a risen Saviour," because it's only through the risen Saviour that we're able to serve in whatever role God has called us to do and to work for Him